The other day, I posted my thoughts on the new Kaleidescape Strato M, and a lot of you guys in the comments were really concerned that Kaleidescape made a product in 2025 that was only 1080p. Well, just recently, I had the opportunity to get the Strato M in my living room setup and connected it to an 85-inch Hisense TV. So I want to share that experience with you. The biggest thing I wanted to see is how well does the Strato M do on a larger image. I had shared in my previous video that my thoughts were if you had a 65-inch TV or smaller, the Strato M might be a good fit for you because that resolution really isn't going to matter. But it's when you get to the larger TVs, your 70-inch, 77, 85, 100-inch, and so forth, that's where my recommendation was for the Strato, either the C or, of course, the V. So we got it hooked up. We watched some content on my Apple TV. So we watched Top Gun Maverick. And so that's something I'm very familiar with. Of course, one of the biggest frustrations to me with streaming content is the lack of audio fidelity and especially the low end frequencies. When you're watching a movie on streaming, most of the time the low frequencies are pretty much just sucked out. You miss that content. And so that's one thing that I was wanting to see, is the Strato M going to be able to produce a better audio experience, and very noticeably. The other thing I was interested to see is how well is a 1080p source going to look on an 85-inch TV. So we hooked it up, got everything set up, started watching Top Gun Maverick. And of course, you know, it's just decent. It's a decent experience on the Apple TV. So then we switch over to the Strato M. The first thing I noticed immediately was we got a lot more of that bottom end that we were missing with streaming content. And so I was really excited to see that you're getting all of the fidelity, because the Strato M has the same exact audio that you're going to get from a Strato C or Strato V. Now, in full transparency, neither Bill nor I really saw much of a difference, if any, in between the Kaleidescape Strato M visually, as far as the image quality, comparing that to an Apple TV. So that is presenting in a 4K. The Strato M is a 1080p. So the good thing is the 1080p looked as good as a streaming 4K. Now, I also wanted to play some content from like a Marvel movie because there's a lot more colors, there's animation. Again, I pretty much experienced the same thing. Colors were vibrant, looked really nice on the 85-inch TV with the Strato M. I didn't see any pixelation. I sit about 12 feet back. I think it's 12 feet, 13 feet from the 85-inch. If I were a lot closer, maybe like 6 feet or 7 foot, you might be able to see some degradation there in the pixel structure. But from where I was seating, it looked really, really nice. Just as good, if not slightly better than the streaming version. So you can at least expect on even a large TV like an 85-inch, you're going to get the same visual quality, pretty close. Maybe it's a tad bit better, maybe it's the same. It's hard to do unless you're doing an exact side-by-side comparison. But switching between the two, there wasn't one way or the other that I looked and went, man, that looks so much better or so much worse. It just looked pretty much the same. It looked really good even on an 85-inch TV. And one thing I did not realize is just how small and compact the Strato M is. This thing is super tiny, very, very small profile, and so it can fit just about anywhere, of course, inside your cabinet. But I could also see a really cool application if you wanted to hide this directly behind your TV. It takes up little to no space at all, and so that'd be a great way just to mount that. And I think even Kaleidescape has a mount that you can purchase separately to do so. Now, I realize the Strato M is not going to please everybody, but the reality is I do see that this does have some application. Somebody that wants to put a Kaleidescape product, a player, in a bedroom setup or in a secondary zone, this allows you to get into that much more affordable. That's $2,000 versus roughly $4,000 for the Strato V. But I also can confirm after experiencing it firsthand in my own setup that if you don't have the budget for a Strato V, the Strato M can actually produce a really nice image, even up to an 85-inch TV. Now, this might be able to go larger. This is just what I've experienced in my own living room on the system that I have available to me. Now, overall, I think this is still a win for consumers because some of you don't want to spend $4,000 on a Strato V or Strato C. And so this allows you to get into the Kaleidescape ecosystem for half that cost and still get a good picture and amazing audio. Now, if your budget is a lot more, I would recommend going with the Strato V because you're going to get the full 4K experience, especially if you've got a really large image. Now, if you're interested in any of the Kaleidescape's products, of course, we're an authorized dealer. You can buy those directly from our website, obsessedhometheater.com. Let me know what you think about the Strato M. Is this a good fit for you, or is this a pass? Hope you guys have an incredible week. God bless. Catch you in the next video.